breaker, breaker, CQ, CQ, breaker, breaker. This is the Gnome. Do your copy, over. Do your copy, over, CQ. Pat, wake up. The front there. Harold, put the wireless on. Harold, put the wireless on. What's wrong, Rosalind? Put the wireless on, Harold. There's a revolution. A revolution? The revolution will be local. The revolution will be local.
The revolution will be local. Where will it be? The revolution will be
local.
The revolution
will be. The revolution will be. Come on, the revolution will be. The revolution will be. That's better. Oh, there's an extra line in the title. Rethinking communication for deep engagement. That'll put you back to sleep. Of course it won't. Good morning. I think my megaphone can rest. But this is a local form of amplification. But I wanted to start with a question. How many of you have a wheelbarrow memory? How many of you remember being pushed in a wheelbarrow? Like, well, this time a couple of days ago, I was at a preschool. Any preschool educators here? That's because they're busy making the revolution at the beginning of the conveyor belt. So can I just have a way for the preschool teachers, please? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Way! So I was at a preschool in Bermagui, and we were setting up the sign, and I needed to transport each of the 22 children in early learning up to the front gate to put their hand in paint and stick it on the sign. Now, I didn't read the memo that gnomes aren't supposed to push children in a wheelbarrow, because that's not allowed these days because we're so fear-dominated. And I'm sure there would have been an OH&S requirement that says you're not allowed to do that. Well, I didn't read the memo, so I did. For all 22 of them, running in the wheelbarrow. Like, first of all, they climbed in. They held it like this. Come on, just put your hands out and hold it like that. And then just ride with me as we went. Like that, and then up the hill, up the hill, up the hill. They put their hand in the paint, they stuck it on there. I washed their hand, they got back in the wheelbarrow, and down the hill was even better because it was fast. And I let the hands drop like this, and they were like, whoa, wow, whoa. And then we went and picked corn, popping corn. And I sat there in a circle with the children. They understand circularity. They sit in circles all the time. And one of them said to me, there was all these questions about why we were peeling the popping corn. And then one of them was sitting there, peeling the corn. He turned to me and he said, compost? And I said, yes. He said, why are we peeling it? And I said, because we're going to then cook the popcorn and you'll have it after. Okay. Did a few more things. He said, excuse me, compost. When are we going to make the popcorn? I said, not long. I said, okay. Compost, can I have another ride in the wheelbarrow? What's my point? This little character in the stories that he's seen remembered me as compost. My name, yes, but compost came out because the story was so bedded in everything that we were doing. His perception of the story shuffled the cards, and he spoke to me and addressed me as compost. So when we talk about that idea of deep engagement, that engagement there is exactly what we want to share with you today. That this is local. This is the most local you can be. An early childhood centre in a community. Every member of the community is involved there because the grandparents come and pick the children up, the parents come and pick the children up, the siblings come and get engaged every day or at drop-off or pick-up or so on. That's story. And that story is happening around us, and it's local. And when we rethink communication at this deep level, we will create the engagement that we're looking for all of the data, because we create a belonging. Those children felt safe. The fundraising from the local dinner went into creating a breakout room. And when you think about your contribution to that dinner locally, contributing to a breakout room in the preschool so that children that need special learning aside can go into that room, then your contribution to the story by going to the fundraising dinner is actually helping the future of your community, because you're enabling those children to get the help and get that support that they need at the time that they need it. And then they get to primary school without those delays, without those learning challenges, without potentially speech challenges. And that began because of a local moment of belonging. So, Cate, tell me more about how we've structured this discussion about hyperlocal. And, hyperlocal, don't get me wrong, this is not a catchword. This is just saying there's local, but then hyperlocal. That's where you are. That's where you are in the moment. That's where you live. That's your community. And that is where we get these messages embedded with that rethinking.
Yes, so how are we going to do this? Because, of course, we've only got 20 minutes and we just ramble on forever, the two of us. So basically, what we're going to do, 10 minutes, we're going to have a word, we're going to have a yarn about it. I'm going to be a poet laureate and do a small spoken word at the end of it. Let Costa talk as much as he can. I'm going to do the slides. Just before we go, though, I just want to say, Jodie, I'm fangirling on you, mate. Anyway, you've got to recognise genius when you see it, right? You've got to say, hey, good work, you. Yeah. A lot of love in this room. And that's where I want to start. Hopefully, if I can read. Without glasses works way better today. Hey, we've been measuring bins and calling it progress, but no one ever's fallen in love with a spreadsheet. We talk diversion rates while the kettle boils, and we miss the quiet moment where a child holds compost and understands something deeper than data. This isn't just about strategy, it's about connection. A connection doesn't start with information, it starts with the heart, with care. Next one, Costa.
Breakdown. Nature breaks everything down. That's the way new life is born. There's no life without death. We breathe out carbon dioxide, a tree breathes it in. The tree breathes out oxygen, we breathe it in.
A covenant, first breath, we're in.
That's an evolution, but it's a revolution that goes round, as you were saying. And when we think that, if we think that compost is the only place where we can turn death into life, then we thread into the future. But the now is the birth. The compost is a metaphor. It's a cultural metaphor for a lot more than just the separation and the creation of compost or FOGO. It's actually who we are and how much we care to make that effort and grow, or not even grow the story, be the story. Because we will become compost. We came from compost. We are nature.
Yes, so when it comes to the revolution, this isn't a tidy pivot. It's a glorious, messy, muddy upheaval. Change doesn't always arrive with a plan. Sometimes it shows up as a pile of scraps in a sense that something's ready to shift. Compost isn't neat. It's layered and it's lived and it takes time. It's where last week's mistakes become next season's soils. And maybe it's not about adding another program. Maybe it's about letting some things break down. Rethinking the handbook to write a new one, written in chalk, in soil, in sunflower ink.
Permission. We're always seeking permission. Go through the release, the opening up, that idea of building bridges, all of these ideas around a deeper engagement are about creating the landing point, onboarding. All of this messaging that we talk about is about onboarding. It's about bringing people to the story. And once we bring them to the story, then we move as a collective. And then they're on board. I got a text this morning, about 20 minutes ago, and I wanted to read it because this is the nature of the beast that's going on all the time, and we don't always necessarily see it this way. And this is about a tree day project in Onkaparinga, and it says, further to our last message, we let the people in Onkaparinga book their free tree online ahead of the event, where they come to pick them up. We've had all 1,000 seedlings booked online by the public, and all 500 tree seedlings have been booked by the schools. Getting them pre-booked like this means that we can now have the addresses and the contact for the families that are joining, and then we can share with them tips and reminders on how to look after their trees and shrubs. But here's the kicker. We no longer need the video to encourage people to come to the event, as it is full. So that's not a broadcast of me or anyone else saying, oh, it's National, hi everyone, it's Costa here, it's National Tree Day, and there's tree planting taking on all over the country, and come and join us. And hope. That's a broadcast. Whereas that's a narrowcast saying, book your tree, get the skin in the game, come on board, it's sold, it's full. And who knows that feeling when you see something that's full? Oh, what? What do you mean? Is you sure? Have you got another ticket? Like, how can I get in? I'm really, like, this is the way of shifting that story narrative to not, oh, well, it's hard times at the moment, you know, who's an event organiser? You know, you put it out there and people don't book, they just... But when you tell this story and you narrow it, you zero it in on the people that you want there, not a million people coming from somewhere else that aren't even going to be there. And that just came in literally 15 minutes ago, just to support the story. I thought, thank you, Osmos.
Compost. This is where we're obsessed. Costa and I, Jekyll and Scrap Boy, have become obsessed with the next things, hyperlocal. It's not about going viral across the whole country. It's not about saving the world. It's about, when we're talking about the revolution is will be local, it's about going viral in your neighbourhood, in your home, in your family, because that's where the conversations are trusted. That's where people believe the conversations. So feeding the right information into those things and letting that do its work. We all know this. We've kind of been doing it, right? But this is just a good reminder to us. Hyperlocal. And I just wanted to show you what hyperlocal looks like. Check it out. What did we do before the internet? How did we campaign? How did we create conversation? Because guess what? Broadcast is dead. Narrowcast is alive. We can't rely. We don't all sit down at the same time and watch the same television programs. It just doesn't happen anymore.
Sunday night movie doesn't really exist.
Yeah. And so what, when we're talking about those hyperlocals, and then we'll get to the narrowcasting because we have had the finger to say we have to finish up. So basically, in the nicest possible way, big change doesn't start in the capital, it starts in the corner, right? I think that's great. You can come over to the stand, I'll read you all my poems, by the way, they're cool. But this whole idea of narrowcasting, for people who work in content, that's what we do every day. We get up, we breathe nature, we breathe waste, we breathe content making. And this voice thing, hang on, I'll show you. This is where messaging can happen. This is what we did before we had the internet. You know, it's chalk. It's not graffiti, by the way. It's not. It's where do we find different places to find messages? We sent letters to each other. Look, there's a recording studio in the middle of nowhere. Make a recording, send that. That's a different kind of digital content than just putting up a meme and thinking that's going to rock it. News broadcasts, having local little tiny beautiful things. Think about beauty. Think about the fact that nature is so incredibly beautiful, and this is what we're called to protect and care for and love in the work that we do every day. Let's seduce our communities, our families, our naturehoods with beauty. You know, there's some gorgeous things. Oh, you know, why not on your lunch bag? But then bike. You know how they advertise on the back of taxis? That bike in the corner, kids putting their own messages on, becoming billboards, sending it around. All these opportunities. We made badges, we made T-shirts, we did all kinds of things to send message. QR codes, awesome. That's beach, you know, that you only have to see that message on the beach when the sun is shining in the right direction. Otherwise, it's some sign that you go, what the hell is that? But if you're there at that time, there it is, live for you. Costa, we might finish up with this one, which is the renewable resource we've overlooked.
People ask me when I'm involved with children, what are you on? And like...
I can tell you it's not sleep.
And I remember standing at a X-ray check at an airport once, and some guy was standing next to me. He said, "Oh, Costa," he said, "Oh, my partner's over there. She loves you, but just how do you be like that?" And I said, "Like what?" And he said, "Just like that." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Oh, that's just you. They don't tell you to do that." And I say, "No, no, they don't, because for me." It is about the awe that is around us everywhere. And we don't want to be worn down. There's all the elements in our adult world will wear us down. But just remember, you can peg it back every day by just seeing the awe in anything. Okay, this is plastic, but the awe in the same fractal leaf pattern, that you can then share that story with someone. And you can take a simple leaf and see the awe and wonder in it, and then that lifts your spirit. And you're not weathered by the world, because the world may weather, but we regenerate. And we have the power to regenerate just with how we observe, how we take in the reality around us, that it is special. Every moment is special. Every single moment, every single interaction, every piece of nature time will give you that awe and wonder when you stop, as we did with the kids, and we're just looking at the worms in Cooma yesterday or the day before. That's what awe and wonder is about. And as a group, we have a wonder-filled opportunity to share all of these messages, to take them from problems and turn them into these stories that want to bring the collective and say, jump on, we're on, let's do this, right? Because we can.
Inappropriate. Here's a Gnome, he gets away with it. Hey, I wanted to agree with Jodie. I think it's our responsibility. We come here every year and we just have the best time. I'm looking at you all and loving you because you are the change makers. I mean, we hang out with a whole lot of people and we get here every year and I look at you and you are my friends, you are the change makers, you are making big differences. And it's easy, we get this time to be together as a cohort of people. We get to talk about big levers. We get to talk and hear about policy. We get to talk about machinery, but we also get to talk about heart, communication, engagement, all of these things. Now, the tricky thing, and it's a conversation that keeps coming up with us for the last few days, tricky thing is we're in a kind of bubble here. where we were just like, oh, we're with our peoples, we know what to do. Then you get back to the kind of lands that we all come from. And I suppose the revolution is local, in your land. You are the flag bearers. You are the voices of awe. You are the heart of nature in your workplace. It's time for us to be brave. It's not northern rivers to love nature. It's natural because we are nature, the baby of the species, this last visitor on the planet to arrive. It's our calling to stand together as nature. It's not weirdo. Wonder is what makes the work worth it. It's what compost smells like when it's done right. It's the way sunflowers track the sun and kids track snails, and it's the first strawberry in the school garden and the giggle that comes when a worm wriggles across a tiny palm. If you've forgotten what wonder feels like, go lie on your belly and watch an ant. That's the curriculum.
The revolution will be local. We are nature. The revolution will be local. We are nature. Thank you. The revolution will be local. We are nature. Revolution will be local. We are nature.